Hi, so this one is a lot more fun than the previous one. I know that it got a bit hairy towards the end with the RSA, but if you want to do it, it's not important. It's really, this module is so flexible for the projects. You have quite a bit of choice. It's the standard and your interest that matters much more than making you perform and jump particular hurdles, you know. So some of you would have quite liked it and others maybe not. Maybe this will be a bit more amusing. I hope so. I've got one or two little tricks for you. All right, so here's what we're going to do. It's much shorter than the others as well. Because it is really advanced cryptography, we won't be able to go in depth as we did with the previous video. The key generation and encryption algorithms that are based on number theory, as I said, actually use extremely large numbers that are in hexadecimal form for blockchains, but they can be broken. Even, I'm going to talk about elliptic curve cryptography, even that can be broken nowadays. So whilst blockchain uses ECC, elliptic curve cryptography, the more advanced blockchains like Ethereum are moving to what we call zero-knowledge snarks. Now, a lot of the language from blockchains is actually derived from going down the rabbit hole. In other words, Alice in Wonderland and Lewis Carroll, who actually lived in Brighton. Some say that the tunnel that goes from Sussex Square onto the beach was the original rabbit hole. I went down the rabbit hole myself a few years ago when I decided I was going to teach myself about blockchains. And I spent hours watching people on YouTube speaking very, very fast in language that I really didn't understand. And then, of course, I had to go and look it all up. And I didn't always come up with the right interpretation. In those days, there was an awful lot of false information. But now there's an awful lot of better information. The trouble is there's too much information. So this is why I hope in this module, I will be helping you to filter out where you get the best information. Anyway, the snark comes from Lewis Carroll's poem, The Hunting of the Snark. And we're going to learn what a snark is. But first of all, let's have a look at elliptic curve cryptography, or ECC. As I said, the Bitcoin blockchain uses SHA-256 twice and ECC to generate public and private keys. And the reason we like ECC is that it reduces the size for storage. It's equivalent in security to an RSA key that's much, much longer, you know, really, really big hex, 3072-bit RSA, in fact. So here's a couple of links just to show you the math behind Bitcoin. If you're interested, you can have a look at another CoinDesk article. Okay, see the markets are down at the moment, but hey, they're always going up and down. So this explains elliptic curves and so forth. Point addition, point doubling, this is the sort of algebra instead of modular arithmetic. It's a different type of arithmetic that's used. And there are, let's go back, standards for efficient cryptography is where you get all the parameters of these curves. So here's an elliptic curve that you can play around with. So you can change the curve. This is the effect of the constant b. It just widens the intersection area. And a, the coefficient of x, sort of makes it steeper and more sort of spoony shape. Okay. And then this point here, that's one of the points that we're going to x1 and y1. And then this point here, that's another point. Okay, and then this blue dot is where the sum is. So this point plus that point equals this blue point. And what you do is you take the line through them, intersect it again, and then reflect it. That's the point addition. And point doubling is also explained if you're interested in looking at that. It may not be what you're interested in, but I thought I'd show it to you in case you are. The standards for the SEC elliptic curve cryptography documents are a little bit opaque. They tell you quite a lot about the different types of protocols that could be used and the parameters. You know, the A and B, those are the parameters. So this is really, I think, too advanced, but you know, I think I linked to it there. So what about zero knowledge proofs? The Ethereum blockchain uses the SHA-3 hash and basis encryption on these zero knowledge snarks. What do I mean by a snark? Well, SNARK is succinct, non-interactive argument of knowledge. An argument of knowledge means it's a way to prove something. An argument of knowledge is a proof, okay? The prover, Alice, convinced the verifier, Bob, that she knows something. And it's a snark if Alice can't convince Bob that a wrong statement is true. It's called soundness. And there is some strategy that she can use to convince Bob about a true statement. That's called completeness. And if Bob has zero knowledge, that's when we call it the proof a ZK snark. So here's an example of a zero knowledge snark proof. It's called Alibaba's cave. And Alice can prove to Bob that she has a secret key that opens a door. There's the door, you see? And this is the cave, shaped like a donut. And she doesn't have to show Bob that she's got the key. So he's got zero knowledge. But he can say, yes, you do have the key, without seeing the key. How can she do that? Well, Alice goes into the cave without Bob, who waits outside. He doesn't see whether she goes this way or that way, but he knows that there's a door there and she could only come round if she's got the key. So she goes in and she hides, and then Bob says A or B randomly. And say he says A, then Alice will open the door and come out and say, here I am, A. But once, just chance, you know, 50-50 chance that he said what if he'd said B or A, would be 50-50 chance. So this has to be repeated many, many times. So eventually, after doing it 100 times, and Alice always comes out of the one that he shouts, then without seeing the key, he knows she has the key. Here's another one. And Alice is the prover, Bob is the verifier. And suppose I'm Bob, but I'm blind, okay? And I've got these balls in my hands, right? They're different colors. At least Alice tells me they're different colors, but I don't know they're different colors. And Alice is going to verify to me that they are different colors. So she's going to say, put them behind your back. And then she says to me, okay, Bob, choose whether you're going to switch them to different hands or keep them in the same hands. It's up to you. You can switch them or not. And so I decide whether I'm going to switch them. She says, well, okay, show me the balls. And I show her. And she says, you didn't switch. So we do it again. And then maybe this time I do switch. I don't know. It's up to you, up to me. And she says, okay, no, you didn't switch. Yes, you switched. No, you didn't switch. And you keep doing like that. And that's why she can prove to me, even though I'm blind, that the balls have different colours. So, I just thought I'd leave you with this slide. I'm not going to go through it. But it uses Euler's theorem and the things that we did to prove the RSA public-private key pair work for encryption and decryption. So, and there's an example at the end. All right then. Well, I'm not going to go through that because, as I said, it's not exactly central to understanding blockchains and crypto assets. It's just rather nice to make sure that when I teach you something, there are no holes and everything is totally understood. Okay, that's the end of this topic. Bye for now.